Hello and welcome to the Reservoir. This is part 2 of a 4-part road trip series, my 2019 road trip. If you follow my channel you'll see that in 2018, last year, I did a 3-part road trip series, and this is going to be a 4-part 2019 road trip series. And this is the second part, so we've already done 48 hours at Orchid Lakes near Oxford. And yeah, we're at this beautiful reservoir, as you can see behind me here. I'm not going to name it because it is actually a syndicate lake, and you know, out of respect for the members and everything, I don't want to sort of tell you where it is, but you know, somewhere in England. Absolutely stunning, full of 20s and a good handful of 30s, I'm told, up to sort of £38. Apparently a £38 came out of the weekend, so it's looking good. It's a really warm sunny evening. I've just got here about lunchtime and drove up from Orchid Lakes, met my mate Matt, who you would have seen in last year's road trip series, so we'll talk to him tomorrow. And if you can see down here, I've got my 3 rods out, so tomorrow I'll be talking you through my tactics, my rigs and my bait and everything for tackling larger waters like this. And when you've never turned up at somewhere like this before, you know, where do you start basically. So stay tuned for that tomorrow. But for now, I think it's definitely beer o'clock. Taking us about 5 hours to get to our swims and get set up and find spots and everything. So me and Matt are going to have a little social this evening, a couple of beers, and catch up because I haven't seen him for over a year. So crazy, yeah. So yeah. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. As I said, this is a 4-part series. If this video has just gone live, that means there's 2 more parts still to come, and make sure you check out part 1 where I was at Orchid Lake as well. So yeah, stay tuned. I'll update you with any fish, and then tomorrow we're going to be talking you through the tactics. Good morning, guys, and welcome back to the Reservoir. So it's Monday morning now. We've just done our first night down here, and we're only doing 2 nights, so it's quite a short session for, you know, somewhere of this size. We haven't got a lot of time to try and make something happen, and unfortunately we blanked last night. When we got here there was a few fish milling around out in front of these swims, so we went here on the strength of that, really. You know, when you turn up somewhere like this, you really need to get your location right, and we had a walk around most of the lake, to be honest, and the only place we'd seen fish was in these swims. I think mine's called Rockery or something, Little Rockery maybe, and Matt, my mate who's come with me, is in Mud 2, I think it's called, next door. So sort of the middle of the lake. We can see a lot of the water, so if we see any shows we can move, but more importantly we've seen the fish out in front of it. They were cruising around near the surface when we got here yesterday, and it was quite hot, but we hoped that as it cooled down they would sort of drop down and start feeding. So that was our sort of plan when we got here, and we've watched a couple of sort of videos of people fishing the lake, and they seem to be in this part of the lake and catching a few fish as well, so you know, that was another sort of reason that we went here. But yeah, nothing really happened, and there was a lot of tufties and coots and grebes and all sorts diving on us last night, and that kind of kept us awake with all the little bleeps where they catch the line and sometimes they pick up the bait and everything. So that was a bit annoying, and it sort of went against us a little bit, but that's where we're up to now. The game plan today really is to obviously watch the water. If we see anything show, we'll consider moving.
but we did see a couple of rolls in our area this morning, so we still feel like we're in a fairly good area. And as it's sort of clear skies and quite sunny today, we're going with zig rigs during the daytime and then coming back on the bait for the evening. So that's kind of where we're up to now. We've got 24 hours ish to play with before we leave tomorrow to go to the River Trent, so that's going to be part 3 of this road trip series, so you know, keep an eye out for that one. But this one, the Reservoir, you know, it's not it's not by any means over, but we've got 24 hours to make something happen. And as you saw at Orchid Lake in the first video in this series, you know, you can pull it around on the last 24 hours, so let's hope this session turns out the same way. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit later about my baiting approach and my rigs and my spot choices, so stay tuned for that. But for now I'm just going to be sitting and watching the water and keeping everything crossed that we get a fish to show you. Right, well, we've had a result, guys. Not what we were after, but it's a tench, so at least I know my spot and my rig works. And you know, if you get a spot that you can get a take from, the next fish could easily be a carp. So I'll get that out and show you, and perhaps we'll talk a little bit about the rig after that. Alright, there he is. Absolutely stunning little fish. 3 or 4 pound, something like that. Not massive, but nice to get a little bit of action, and it's nice to know that my spot is you know, clean enough to get a take from, and it's nice to know the rig's working. Apparently if you catch a tench, then you're doing something right, because they're harder to catch than carp apparently if you read up on it. You know, in terms of rigs and stuff, if you land a tench, then your rig's definitely working, basically, let's put it that way. So yeah, hopefully the next one that comes along is a carp. Right guys, sat here with my old mate Matt. You might have seen him last year in the road trip series, but he didn't make that much of an appearance. I think he was a bit shy, wasn't he? But yeah, I just thought I'd introduce you to him. I've known him for many years, and we used to fish together a bit when we were kids and stuff, but we live quite far away now, so don't get to meet up very often. But yeah, at the moment once a year, it's quite nice. Yeah. So yeah, we've come on this little trip away, and we've done 24 hours so far, and we've got another 24 hours to go. And we've had a hell of a day today. As you saw earlier, I had a tench and we weren't really feeling it in that other swim. And so we've up sticks and we've moved down the far end of the lake. I think they call it, what is it, pole position or something?
Yeah, pole position.
Pole position. So it's like the far end of the lake, just near the sanctuary, and the wind's been trickling down here today. And it took us probably a good 2.5 to 3 hours to move all our stuff and find spots and get the rods out. And we've decided to kind of, to make it fair, because we both want to fish the same spot, so we've decided to sort of share rods, if you like. Well, we've got Matt's pod with one of each of our rods on, and then my pod with one of each of our rods, and then there's another swim not far away, we've got a rod each in there as well, and we've baited up sort of areas for each pair of rods, if you like. And yeah, we sort of feel a bit more confident, don't we, tonight, mate. Yeah.
It'll be interesting in the middle of the night when we get a run.
Well, that's it. Yeah, we're
Won't know
sort
which
of
rod it is.
discussing how we could work out whose is whose. But if we have our own receivers in our bivvies, then we'll know one of our rods is going, won't we? So
Hopefully mine.
hopefully Matt's. Yeah, but I did have another tench earlier on as well. Literally, probably 20 minutes, half an hour after I'd spotted out quite a lot of bait. One of my rods went, and I thought it was just the ducks messing around. And Matt was like, Si, it's going. I was like, what? He's like, Si. And I think I haven't had enough sleep or something, because I was just looking at the rod like, no, it's fine, I'll just leave it.
I was close to picking it up.
Yeah, and then Matt nearly picked it up, but yeah, we got it, and it was a small tench, about 2.5, 3 pound, I suppose. So I didn't bother filming it because it wasn't really worth it. But at least we know that spot's clear, and I've got a take from there. So yeah, just sort of waiting for the night, really, aren't we, mate? And hopefully the fish are going to turn up.
Hopefully carp.
Well, yeah, that's it. Hopefully. I mean, there's plenty of carp in here, but I think the trouble is, because it's such a big lake, trying to find them is quite hard, and the conditions aren't very good. It's been sort of flat calm a lot of the time, and quite hot. But it is quite overcast now. But we could do with a bit more wind, really. And I think the fish had spawned a couple of weeks ago, and they're still a bit cagey after that. So yeah, it's a funny time of year, but yeah, fingers crossed. We've got tonight, and then tomorrow we're moving on to the River Trent, aren't we, mate? Which is more your cup of tea, isn't it?
Yeah. Try and get some big barbel.
Yeah.
Maybe the odd carp. Even.
Yeah, well, that's it. Yeah, Matt's a bit more into barbel fishing than me, and you've had some big fish, haven't you? What's your biggest barbel?
Yeah, just short of 10 pounds, so I can't quite crack the 10 pound barrier, but the Trent's a bit of an easier river than the Yorkshire rivers, so hopefully bigger head of double figure fish, so should stand a good chance.
Yeah, mate, hopefully you'll get that double, and hopefully I'll catch a barbel, because I've only ever had a couple of small ones. So yeah, we're sort of looking forward to that, but we really want to get a fish out of here before we go. So yeah, we've done all we can, haven't we?
Yeah, put in the groundwork.
Both pretty worn out now after all that moving and stuff. We had to do about 3 trips from our other swim with our trolleys and that, and it's a good sort of, 5-10 minute walk along the lake to get down here. So yeah, there was quite a lot of to and fro-ing, but all set up now. It's nearly beer o'clock, isn't it, mate?
It is, absolutely.
So yeah, I'm just gonna, probably in a minute, I'll just run you through the rigs, and I'll show you the sort of spots that we're fishing. Well, I'll sort of talk you through how we chose them and everything, and then yeah, we'll have to wait and see what the night brings. So yeah, fingers crossed, something happens, mate. Yeah, so as promised, I'll just show you my tactics for this session. I know I always bang on about this, but one of my favourite pop-up rigs, if not the favourite, is the Withy pool rig. Now, if you saw my if you saw my French trip and the video that came after that showing the rig for that trip, I was using a lot lower pop-up, and I think that rig for me it's all about kind of a fairly clear spot, no weed whatsoever. You can get away with a really low pop-up, but where we're fishing here, there's quite a lot of sort of low-lying, dying weed and debris on the bottom, and I want it to be popped up just that little bit more, just out of harm's way, so the hook's presentable, really. So I'm using the Withy pool rig because it's just slightly higher. It sits up just like that, and I've got a Richworth pineapple pop-up on there. I haven't used a pineapple much before, but I tried it in France and I caught a 64 pounder, so I figured I'd stick with them for a little while. They're obviously a successful bait. I have caught on them before, but as I normally use S-Core as my sort of freebies, I like to use an S-Core pop-up as well. But the pineapples seem to have been working lately, and I have had the 2 tench on them today, so yeah, at least they're catching something. But yeah, hopefully Mr. Carp comes along and eats one in the night at some point. But yeah, in a minute I'm just going to sort of briefly talk you through the spots that we're fishing, and then all that's left to do really is wait for the night and see if anything happens. So stay tuned, guys, I'll catch you in a minute. Right, guys, so this is the swim that we're in now. It's up the top end of the lake, I guess the northern end, so any sort of southwesterly or southerly breezes will blow into here, so it's a good end of the lake.
when you get those conditions, but also it's a lot shallower up this end. And what we were finding, where we were sort of halfway along the lake, it was quite deep everywhere, and this time of year, you know, July, you kind of want shallower water if you can, you know, sort of 6, 7, 8 foot. But where we were fishing, everywhere seemed to be sort of 11 foot or so, and the only shallow water we found was really, really close in. And where we were seeing the fish, there was sort of over 11 foot of water, and we just didn't feel very confident really, and we put zigs out today and that didn't really work. But here we've got nice depths really. It's probably between 7 and 8 foot on all the spots, and there's a bit of weed and stuff about, which is obviously good. The carp like to sort of hide in there, and they like to eat the natural food on the weed and stuff, so feeling fairly confident now we've moved down here. It was definitely worth the effort, and it's nice that we're actually basically sharing a swim so we can have a bit of a social tonight as well. So yeah, so I'll just roughly talk you through where we've decided to put the rods. So out here you've got that weed bed there, if you can see, and just sort of about here and just below, like beyond it and in a line there's a bit of a clear spot in between two weed beds, because there's actually another weed bed a bit further out that you can't see, it's just slightly submerged. So we've decided to put 2 rods on that spot and baited with about 15 spons of our bait mix, which mostly consists of boilies and corn and hemp. And I actually put a few lamb pellets in with it as well today, just to kind of studge it up and create more of a sort of a ground bait when it mulches down, you know, because the birds have been diving on us, and I think they're picking up all the whole bits of food, but if you've got a bit of dust in there as well, it keeps a bit of smell in the area. So put a bit of hemp juice on that as well that Matt had left over from cooking his hemp, so that's going to help attract the fish hopefully as well. So yeah, we put 2 rods on that spot there next to each other, and then spawned about 15 spawns over the top, and both fishing pop-ups on that one because it's fairly weedy either side of it, and we're not 100% sure of how clear it is on the spot itself. And then the other spot in this side of the swim is over this way, around about out here somewhere. There's it slightly sort of starts to shallow up. I think the middle of the lake here is sort of 9, 10 foot, and then as you come closer, it shallows up to about 7 foot, I think we found, before it gets really shallow close in. But you know, that 7 foot sort of seems about right for this time of year, and it was really hard and really clear out there, so it felt good, you know, and it seems like it was a sort of patrol route for the carp coming from the far end of the lake down into this sort of sanctuary end, if you like, and also any fish that are hanging out in the sanctuary at the top, you know, off this way, that's all like sanctuary, you can't fish up there, and it goes around quite far, so any fish that are coming along, you know, along the weed beds and stuff, they're going to kind of find that bait there, and same coming from this direction, they're going to sort of find our little area of bait. So we've done the same there, we've put a rod each on that spot, and we put quite a lot of bait out on that one, a good sort of 30 or so spawns, just to try something different. You know, there's a lot of fish in here, and when they're feeding, you know, you can really have big hits, I think, and they've been a bit quiet lately, you know, not many's been coming out, so we thought, well, let's give them a bit of bait and hopefully we can trigger them to feed. And you know, there's not any major features out here, so you kind of got to make a feature with your bait. And then the last spot is in the next swim along, so I'll show you that in a second. This spot then, guys, we're actually just next door to our main swim, so if you look around there, that's our 2 bivvies, and then we've got 2 rods in this swim here, and it's, you know, there's no snags or anything, it's just open water, and we've got our clutches fairly tight, so the fish are not going to get into danger or anything like that if we get a take, and we've both got our receivers on us, so you know, we'll be able to get here in literally 10 seconds if we get a take, so I'm not worried about endangering the fish. But we've decided to put 2 rods in here as well, because it would have been too crowded in our main swim to have all the rods in there, you know, too many lines in the water, and would have been a bit dodgy trying to land fish with all those lines. So we put a rod each in here,
and we've just basically found out here, this sort of line is about 8 foot, 7 foot again, not quite halfway, you know, sort of this side of halfway, and we've baited a sort of a cricket wicket size patch just with boilies on this one. I've just put a mixture of sizes of S-core boilies out there, really, quite a few, you know, a good sort of 100, 150 baits maybe, something like that, and just hopefully the shoal of fish come cruising past on the way into the sanctuary out in front of us, and hopefully they find that. So I think Matt's gone for a snowman on that one, and I've gone for my low pop-up rig because it's really clear out there. I didn't really find any weed or anything, so got my low pop-up rig on that, and then withy pool rigs on the other ones. And that's about it. That's the tactics. The wind's kind of stopped now, but there was a bit of a trickle of wind coming down this way, so that's one reason we've come here, but also for the depth of water. You know, it's a lot shallower, and we didn't feel confident in that deep water, so that's the thinking behind it. And we just hope that we've got it right, you know. And I have had a tench already since we've moved, so it's promising, you know, but it's not the species we're after, so fingers crossed for the night. And we'll keep you updated, and stay tuned, guys. Hopefully we've got something to show you. Right, guys, so yeah, this is the last morning at the reservoir now, and really surprised to say that nothing happened last night. We were seeing fish showing, quite a lot of fish showing actually, but slightly beyond where we were fishing down in the sanctuary there, and we sort of thought, well, should we chuck a single out to them where they're showing, or, you know, our rods where we were positioned, it sort of cut them off coming out of the sanctuary. So we thought we'd leave them where they were because we put them over a bit of bait and everything, and we thought during the night the fish would come out of the sanctuary and find our bait, but nothing's happened. And then they're not showing there this morning, but where we are here, which is the next swim around, there's been fish showing over the far side of here, and we were fishing sort of the near side, about a third of the way out, and the fish were showing sort of 2/3 of the way across. So we've both rechucked these rods on singles out there, sort of in a vain hope to salvage something from the session, but yeah, nothing's happened. There's still fish kind of showing out there, so there's still time, but it's looking like it might be a blank session, unfortunately. But that does happen, you know. First time on the new water, it's 38 acres, so it's quite hard to get your location right, and we have moved on this session, and we found fish, you know, and we're fishing near the fish, but they're just not really having it. One of the members was down yesterday, and he said that since they spawned they've been a bit cagey and they've not really been feeding on bait, you know. They seem to be on the naturals a little bit, so, you know, I'm not making excuses, but we've done all we can. We found the fish, you know, caught a couple of tench, so I know the rigs and the spots that we've been fishing are decent, you know, presentable. But the carp just haven't wanted to eat our bait for some reason, so yeah, that's all I can say really. It's just one of those sessions, but I really love this lake. You know, I'd love to come back. It is a syndicate, as I said. We've been able to do a bit of a guest session, but we're thinking about possibly joining, so you may see in the future some videos at this lake, but I'm not 100% sure yet whether we're going to join or not, but we'll see. There's some nice fish in here, up to 38 pound, I think was most recent big fish caught out of here, and there's a good sort of 10, 12, 30s in here. Oh, a fly just went across the lens there. Yeah, But anyway, so thanks for watching the video, guys. And remember, this is the part 2 of a 4-part series, so watch out for the next part where we're going to be heading to the River Trent. We're going to start packing up in a minute and heading off somewhere. We're not exactly sure where we're going to end up yet, because we need to speak to the bailiff and find out kind of where the fish have been getting caught, but somewhere on the River Trent around the Newark area. So yeah, look out for the barbel fishing video. Hopefully some carp as well. There's carp in the Trent, so fingers crossed for a carp. And then the final part, we should be at Bluebell Lake, so look out for that one as well.